Is this artist using AI? This artist, with 20,000 followers and millions of views, is possibly posting AI artworks and might even have a history of reposting others' art. Here's my evidence. His latest drawing of Kratos from God of War has only 2 photos, a sketch and the finished piece. Besides the odd sketching process, this could be an AI outline of the finished drawing. I've tried my best to align these 2 photos together, but these 2 images are not of the same drawing. I know artists don't draw the sketch exactly, but you can see in the sketch that the head is tilted more towards the camera, the nose doesn't match, the right ear is different, the shoulder strap drastically changes with part of it disappearing, the 3 holes no longer lining up, and the pec is much further down. This likely isn't an actual sketch of the drawing, but the artist possibly creating a fake sketch with AI to fabricate some evidence that this is an actual drawing. These are the only 2 images of the drawing on his socials, but this is a common occurrence for his artwork to have sketch inconsistencies like this. Next, his art of Homelander, which also has only 2 images, being the sketch and the finished drawing. You can see that the 2 actually look similar, and the only issues I could find are this strange line that I think the AI confused for the edge of the paper. It also looks like the AI couldn't tell the shoulder pad was supposed to be an eagle, so you get this weird texture, and it looks like the star on his cape gets confused as part of the shoulder. Besides the sketch being what looks like the outline of the finished art rather than an actual sketch, this artist actually made a similar drawing to this about 4 weeks before this one in his sketchbook. I don't know why he would want to remake the same art, but maybe he really likes the character, or thought he could do better, which is understandable. But in this other piece, there's an actual time lapse of him drawing it with multiple angles, an actual sketch, and an edit of the drawing. In almost all of his actual artworks, you can see that he clearly takes pride in his drawings because he's a talented artist. In other pieces, you see multiple angles of his drawing along with sketches, videos, edits, and sometimes having the finished pieces in the background of other videos. You would think that if this were an actual drawing, he would give it the same amount of care as the ones in his sketchbook, especially since these are very detailed, incredible artworks. You can see on his pinned story that he does have a far less edited version of the AI Homelander. It starts out with him holding the camera over an actual drawing he's made, then switches to the AI drawing. In the first half, you can see the shakiness of him recording a video over the first drawing, but when it switches to the AI drawing, where you can see this wobble effect he's added to make it look like he's holding the camera over the drawing. If this were an actual drawing, I don't see why he wouldn't just record a video above the drawing instead of adding effects in editing to make it seem like he is. In his artwork of Butcher, there are only 3 images of this drawing, and what I find odd is despite the background changing, the drawing and the paper perfectly align together without having to rotate either image. You would think that if these were taken at different times, the paper would be slightly more rotated than the previous picture. It's not impossible, especially if the artist is using tape, which isn't visible in the pictures, but it's just another red flag in his work. You can see there is a slight change in one image, but it looks like the size of the paper is what changes, not the drawing, with the left half looking like it's being squished, and 2 dots in the same place being squished as well.
Pause. While editing this video, I also wanted to point out that in image 1, the right side of the paper appears to slightly grow. Also, after doing a reverse image search, I might have found a 4th image of Butcher. I can't confirm that it's one of his posts, as clicking the link brings me to a separate post from a different account, but there's a high likelihood that this was posted to his account. If you compare this to image 1, it makes little sense, as you can clearly see that part of the image isn't drawn yet, but in this sketch, it is. It's possible this post was deleted from his account, as it's painfully obvious it's AI.
Next, I want to talk about his drawing of Charles Leclerc, which is one of the more damning pieces of AI. Once again, there are only 2 images of this drawing, and I've tried to line both drawings together, but cannot because these are clearly 2 different images. The eyes have a slight change to them. His left eyebrow far overextends where the face ends, the helmet changes, especially the bottom part, not matching the sketch with the AI, confusing the color change with the center of the helmet and turning it into what looks like metal. The bottom plastic part turns into a screw-like attachment. Part of the sketch extends past the drawing with a part of the left half missing, and the logos don't match with some angle and size changes. Another big red flag is that this artist is using the grid method to make this piece, but the grid is perfectly intact, as if the artist didn't use an eraser at all during the sketch, which isn't impossible, but extremely difficult. But the most damning of all is the grammatical errors in the drawing, which is a common mistake in AI art. You can see in the sketch below that the word bell is supposed to say helmets, which it does in the sketch, but becomes illegible in the finished piece. On the Ferrari logo, there's supposed to be an SJ next to the horse, but you can only see an attempt at an S on the sketch, and neither letter is visible in the finished drawing, along with the horse missing part of its tail. The top of the helmet should have his name, Charles Leclerc, on it, which isn't visible, and the reflection of the helmet should have the letters SBM, which changes to GDTT in the sketch, and SDTT in the finished drawing. At the bottom of the helmet, you can see the word Bitdefender turned into what looks like screws on both drawings. These are the two photos used for the drawing, and I believe this photo was the one used to create the AI artwork, as it's very similar to the drawing. The final piece I want to talk about is of Ethan Winters. He has 4 pictures of this drawing, but really only 2, being a sketch and the finished drawing. The other 2 images are just close-ups of the same picture. I purposely didn't align them correctly because you actually couldn't tell when I was swapping between the pictures. Once again, he has this odd AI sketch where the buttons are oddly drawn, the zipper changes. It looks like the AI confuses the shadow with the baby's thumb and the lip with the zipper, but I could be wrong. There are odd lines between the fingers, along with him not seeming to have fingernails and the pinky looking too long. The bandage looks like it fuses with the hand, along with changes to the sleeves. There are more pieces like this you can see on his socials, but these are just a few I wanted to bring up. The next thing I want to bring up is his meme drawings and inconsistent sketches. He stopped posting in July 2023 and returned in December 2025, around the time AI was starting to get good enough to create somewhat believable art. He has around 100 drawing posts, with some being posted almost every day, sometimes even twice a day. In Billie Eilish, you can see over time the tear ducts and eyebrows change, with the tear ducts changing back in the finished drawing. In Michael Jackson, part of the eyebrow grows, then shrinks in the next image, and part of the eyelash splitting in 2, with this odd fuzz on the side of the eyebrow. His drawing of Bad Bunny clearly has a paper texture change, and his P. Diddy has an outline blur of the finished drawing in the sketch and a paper texture change. Eminem's hands are messed up, with one looking like the AI tried to give him a fingernail and the other having an extra finger, with the face not blending with the body. There are plenty more drawings on his YouTube and Instagram, but these are just a few I wanted to show. You could make the argument that he uses AI to create fake sketches so he can post them on social media, but I don't see why any artist would sour their art by making a fake AI sketch of it. And wouldn't it be easier to just take a photo of the actual art while you're drawing it? Don't get me wrong. Artists make mistakes and are going to change things throughout the drawing, but these changes are very odd, with some slowly warping through each image and changing back, or some having an outline blur of where the finished drawing was removed by the AI. This is pretty telling evidence that, at bare minimum, some of his sketches are made with AI, which could mean the finished pieces could be AI as well. Although some of the art pieces don't have something you can point to say it's definitely AI, you can assume it is based on the style. AI art lacks soul, and pieces come out with no human error that actual art has. You can create your own sketch in ChatGPT, and most of the time there's nothing wrong with the piece, but you can clearly tell it's AI. Often his posts have very different art styles, which is common for AI artists. Most of his drawings have little or no sketch, which is fine, but the ones that do look quite odd. He has videos of his drawings, and they look great. This person is a very talented artist. You can see full videos of some of his art and other works, but his drawings of Kratos and Charles, for example, have few images of the actual art, and the sketches are most likely outlines of the finished drawing, and you can see this throughout most of his entire work, where larger art pieces have no other angles other than a top-down view, and no videos of the process. You can clearly see the sketching style change between the artworks that have different angles or even videos versus the drawings that have 1 or 2 images. But some other art pieces are suspicious and might even have a history of reposting others' art. He's made multiple pieces that are pretty incredible, with sketches and video proof, but it's likely he also posts AI art he claims to have made. He's made very detailed drawings of Venom, people, eyes, and a pen drawing of Jai Shri Ram and Luffy from One Piece. But some other art pieces are suspicious, starting off with his drawing of a baby, which is an original piece called Precious by Natalia Denger. If you do a reverse image search, you can see one of the first images to pop up is what looks like an exact copy, and by resizing it, you can see it is down to the exact shading. I don't care if an artist traces, and being able to copy the art so accurately is very impressive, but this isn't a redraw. It's most likely a repost of another's artwork with his watermark on it. If you go into View Page Source, you can see that this post was made 2017, while his was posted April 30th, 2022. Another artwork is his drawing of hands, which seems to be by Olga Purchas, but I can't find the image. But once again, you can do a reverse image search and find a very similar image that you can then overlap and seem to be an exact one-to-one copy. You can also change the opacity on the Pinterest image, and it's kinda hard to see, but the paper texture is exactly the same. In a drawing of Kabir Singh, you can find the exact same image, only brighter, that also lines up perfectly with his, matching the random dots on the page, and just so happens to cut off after the watermark and has a white blur around another watermark. The Pinterest one posted in 2019 and his in 2022. It's also important to note that in his Omegle videos, when he shows these artworks, he doesn't show the actual drawings, just the posts on his Instagram. But I just so happened to come across a more recent work of his that could involve him feeding another artist's work into AI and posting it as his own. On his pinned story, he has an artwork of Max Verstappen with no sketch or video, just a top-down view of the drawing. When I did a reverse image search, it showed another very similar drawing of Max, and I could only find this post on Pinterest. By viewing the page source, you can see the Pinterest post was made on December 9th, 2024, while his drawing was posted on March 30th, 2026. I spent 2 hours trying to find the original reference used in these images and couldn't, which is concerning, as his post could have just been an AI redraw of the original. You can see the faces are nearly identical and almost perfectly line up with the bull and the word on the side of the hat, but the AI brutally messes up the words and logos in his drawing. You can see on the side of the hat it should say Car Next, but instead says Red Bullers, which is common for AI to make grammar mistakes like this. The AI can't tell what it says and knows there's a Red Bull logo on the hat, so it fills it in with what it thinks it says. On the top of the hat, below Red Bull, it should say Racing, with only the RAC being visible, but instead says what looks like RAIC. You can also see the odd image on the hat, which is supposed to be a bull, but the legs and head look weird and contorted, with the AI confusing the stripe on the hat with the tail. The left side has what is supposed to be a cheetah, with it perfectly lining up with the original image. The logo of Tezos is absolutely butchered, and the top image of Red Bull doesn't look like the logo at all. None of these are an issue in the other drawing. With some words being hard to read, you can clearly tell what everything is supposed to be. If the artist wasn't able to read what the hat said, I don't know why he wouldn't look up other images in order to tell what it is. Although AI detection websites aren't concrete proof to dismiss an image as AI, and sometimes can be wrong, a lot of his works that don't have sketches, few images, or no videos often get flagged as AI by multiple websites. I'm not saying these websites are going to get it right 100% of the time, but it's odd that when the artworks that have proof of him drawing them are put into an AI detector, they come back negative or with slight image manipulation, which could be from the cropping of the screenshots I took. While other major drawings that have only 1 or 2 images do get flagged as AI. Although some images that have no proof he drew them don't get flagged, I still don't see why he wouldn't at least take a picture of the sketch or multiple pictures from different angles of an insanely detailed drawing such as his artwork of the Deep. Of course, I'm not implying that artists need to always have a picture or video of the sketch, but I don't see why he wouldn't take at least a few more pictures of his artworks, especially since they're so highly detailed. while his smaller works get multiple pictures, sketches, videos, and even edits. This creator is an actual artist, which is probably the main reason he hasn't been called out. He has multiple angles, pictures, and videos of some of his work, which makes it very disappointing that he could be trying to pass some of these AI drawings as his own, as he has proof he can draw. Although there are no definite giveaways that I could say are guaranteed proof he's an AI artist, there are plenty of minor to major red flags that make it seem like there is a very high possibility he has, at the very least, a connection to AI. The minor ones being his returning to social media in late 2025 during the rise of AI art, inconsistent art style changes sometimes in the same post, and what I think is pretty obvious AI art. A lack of sketches, multiple angles, or videos of artworks, with a lot of works having only a top-down view of the drawing, posting often once or even twice a day, with major pieces being created what seems like daily. Although none of this is really proof that he uses AI, it is common with AI artists. The more alarming red flags are his fake sketches that sometimes don't even match the drawing, artworks with no proof he made them, art being flagged as AI while the pieces with proof aren't. He has a clear pride for the artwork he actually makes, showing edits with multiple different images or videos, while the AI ones have 1 to 2 images and aren't seen in any other works. These are examples of very possible giveaways that this artist is likely using AI in his work, but here are the major red flags that could prove that some of his artwork is AI. A possible history of reposting others' art or using it to create AI images, major grammar mistakes, major drawing and logo errors, sketches changing over time, then sometimes going back. All of these examples make a pretty damning case that this creator is most likely using AI, but I'm curious what you think. I want to add that this is all speculation of what I've observed looking over his art, and I highly encourage you to do your own research, as it's possible that I could have gotten some information wrong or missed something. I've spent around 40 hours reviewing his posts, gathering evidence, and making this video, but I still come across images and posts that I believe show signs of AI. Some posts don't show on his Instagram or YouTube and can only be found through Google, which is where I found this image, which I will talk about on my Instagram at pcarts. I hope that the evidence I've presented was enough to make a compelling argument to question this creator's legitimacy, and thank you for watching.
Follow me.